Hey everybody, in this video, we're going to share a little adventure we did here in Asuncion, Paraguay.
We took a day trip to downtown and ate at the must-try Bolsi restaurant.
Hey everybody, I'm Sean.
And I'm Deb.
And welcome back to the channel. So we are here in Asuncion, Paraguay, and we thought we'd take a little bit to tell you about our day trip down to the old city center, the El Centro.
Mm-hmm. So we are here in Recoleta, which we really enjoy, and we're about a 15-minute ride by Uber out to Old Town.
Yep.
We actually had some tips, both from locals and from people we had seen online that gave us some tips on visiting Old Town.
It was nice when we got here. We did our kind of we're here video, and we got a lot of really warm welcomes from people here in Asuncion, and they gave us tips on what to do, and Old Town was one of them.
And so they said be sure to go down to Old Town, but they also said don't go at night.
Yeah, I super appreciate that, right? I like the fact that the people here in Asuncion are telling us like the real story. Like, and they said, I mean, I think the tips we got were go during the day. You know, there's a little sketchy parts, so just be aware of what you're doing. But they gave us some ideas on places to eat and some museums to go to. So thank you for that.
Another tip they gave us was to go during the week. So we went on a Friday.
Yeah,
and that turned out to be a good experience for us.
It was busy. Like the businesses were. I mean, sometimes when just depending on which Latin American city you're in, if you go on a weekend, like if that's their financial center, like it's kind of dead. So it's good that we went.
And if you want more people to be around for security reasons, then definitely go during the week.
Yeah. So it was good on a Friday. It was busy. It was fun. You know, it was a good little day trip.
Okay. So like I said, we grabbed an Uber to go down there. It was probably about $5 or $6. It was very affordable. And once down there, we did ask the Uber driver to drop us off at the Palacio de los Lopez. It's also known as the Government Palace. So this
hard to miss. It's a big, beautiful.
It's hard to miss. It's very nice. It's the construction started somewhere around 1857. By 1894, it was built. There was a lot of just war and other stuff in between when it was started and built. But by 1894, they were actually able to use it. At the time, the president not only had an office there, but they lived there. And then eventually it just became just the office.
The office of the president. Yeah.
And so
just like be prepared. When you go down there, like it is their presidential palace. So the guards are out, like they're very attentive to what's going on. They're paying attention to everybody that's down there. It has this beautiful, big, giant lawn with like these big walkways around it. And so we were like, oh, maybe we can go, kind of walk around the walkway. So, but obviously being, smart about what we're doing, we asked the guard, can we go walk around? And he clearly said.
We even asked the guard if we could take pictures just to make sure.
And the pictures in the video were okay. He was fine with that. But when I asked if we could go walk around, he said not past this line. And he was very clear about it.
They're very serious about that.
So you can go down there, you can see it, you can take pictures of it. And right next to it is a nice little park that has a beautiful view of the river that is it's dedicated to the disappeared that happened in
Asuncion.
We talked a little bit about it happening in Buenos Aires. It happened here in Asuncion as well.
So from the palace, we then decided, because it is right on the water, so we decided to go walk along the water. So if you go around to the other side of the palace, that's where you're going to find the Asuncion sign.
Asuncion sign, yep.
And they have their own version of the Rambla. We just came from Montevideo. It's not nearly as nice. It's on the Paraguay River, so as opposed to being on the ocean, there is a small, maybe not well-kept beach, but I have read that on the weekends people go to the beach.
It's a beach on a river. So whereas we came from Montevideo, and technically I guess Montevideo is kind of at the mouth of the river, but it feels more like an ocean beach. This feels like a beach at a river. I mean,
and there was also along the way like a little children's park.
There's a Ferris wheel and stuff like that. So yeah.
So there is a walkway. I'm sure if you like walking along the water or jogging or whatever, that's a great.
Yeah, we were focused on staying in the downtown area, so we didn't go for a long walk along. We walked for, I don't know, maybe an eighth of a mile, quarter of a mile, and then we headed back up into the financial district.
Yeah.
So we did kind of a rectangle as we walked around the city center. We walked down to the Asuncion sign and got our picture, and then walked a little bit along the beach. And then we cut back up into the city center and decided to do a couple of the museums because that was something that people told us we should definitely not miss out on. So the first one we went to was the Museo de la Ciudad, which is like the city museum, which was focused on cultural and art, which is pretty neat.
This one is actually located right across from the government palace. So one of the nice things about the museum is they have a little coffee shop and they have like an outdoor balcony, and you can sit out on the balcony and drink your coffee and look over the palace.
You're looking at the palace, so it's kind of a good spot to go get coffee. So it's a good one to do.
And this is definitely a smaller museum. There wasn't nearly as much to this museum, but it was still cute. And there was a guy there actually who was creating art because there's several art displays on the wall. We caught him sleeping, I think.
Yeah, I think he took a nap.
He was taking a nap.
It was interesting because one of the installations that was there, the shows that was there, was all about focusing on the art of trees. And so the artist would take pieces of tree, pieces of bark, and they would do all of their art. And you'll see it. We'll show videos of it. They will show all of their art was done on pieces of trees. So it was kind of cool, kind of interesting.
Now, also there were 2 cats on the property. They actually each had their own bowls.
They did.
But we only met one of the cats. And he was a black cat
Super
with the
cute.
Greenest eyes I think I've ever seen.
She was like focused on, I've got to get a picture of his eyes. I got to get a picture
I
of his
tried
eyes.
very hard to
pretty.
get a good picture of his eyes. They were very pretty.
He was super sweet. So the cat was a bonus to
that was
the art
definitely a bonus.
Yeah.
And in case I didn't mention it, the museum is free.
It is. And it's small, it's not big, but it was worth going into, so definitely check it out.
And there's a few museums in downtown, but we only hit 2 of them. So that was our first. Then we were using Google Maps to go to the second museum, and the way it told us to go was down by the palace. And there were cones on the road, but I thought, it's just...
She's like, it's fine. It's just for cars.
I thought it was just construction, and they didn't want cars going down. So we started to walk down there.
We didn't start to walk down there. She started to walk down there.
And I got whistled at by a guard.
Blew a very loud whistle. And I mean, this is one of the palace guards. So he's blowing this very loud whistle. And Deb's like, what? Somebody's whistling at me?
I said, sorry.
I'm like, no. We are not going that way.
Yeah. So anyway, we took an alternate route to the next museum.
Respect the boundaries around the palace.
Definitely.
Yeah. So we went down a little further. It was, even when we got to out front of the second museum, there was a very big park, and the park has gates around it. So just if you experience that, if you're trying to go to what's the museum?
So it's the Cultural Center of the Republic.
Okay. If you're trying to go to that museum, just walk along the gates until you find the entrance. There was a guard at the entrance there, and we asked if it was the entrance to the museum, and he said yep, and it was super nice.
So we walked through the park.
Yeah.
In that park too, I think we got some footage of it. There's different statues and stuff in the park. So.
They're like remembrances of like the independence and all different kinds of events. So it's pretty cool.
Yep. Okay. So this museum was much larger than the first one that we went to. And it also had, when we first walked in, and then we, asked if we needed to pay anything. And this one too was free. And then we turned to the right, went into the first room, and there was a security guard at the desk. And this is probably the friendliest security guard we've ever come across.
People in Asuncion are so friendly. Like, I mean, really friendly. And I'm sure we look like foreigners, but they are so, I feel like, happy that we're here visiting Asuncion. This security guard he was super proud of the museum. He wanted to show us all the different parts and pieces of us. He wanted to obviously the guard wasn't just there for security, because he knew the museum and he wanted to tell us all different parts. He was showing this this one kind of outfit that was from an indigenous tribe, and he was talking about the wool that it was made out of. It's just awesome. He was super nice. So the first
thing he did is walk up to both of us and shook our hands
and welcomed
gave
us.
a very, very good welcome.
Awesome.
That I understood.
Yep.
After that, he just kept going, and Sean probably understood some of it, but I'm like, oh, I'm lost.
Well, because here's the other thing.
I could tell what he was pointing to, but...
Yeah, in Asuncion, they have a mix of Spanish and Guarani. And the part that we were in was specifically talking about the native people. The Guarani are the native people in that area. And so we were learning about that. And so I think he was adding in some Spanish and some Guarani. So I know she felt like she caught a little bit of it. I kind of only caught a little bit of it too. I was just enamored by the fact that he was being so cool. He was really nice. Yeah.
So this museum is 2 levels of artwork. And the museum is actually dedicated to the Paraguayan cultural heritage, art, and music.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot to display, and 2 floors. And up on the second floor, it were really great views actually over the river and that section of Asuncion in Old Town. And then also there was a couple of rooms that looks like, I don't know if they still were used as legislative rooms.
Yeah, so they look like it. They have like a lectern out front, and they look like they were kind of like a legislative room. Like you would have, people who are in the government making decisions, but it wasn't open when we were there, so I don't know if it's still going or not.
But I definitely wouldn't miss that museum if you're going to be in Old Town, especially since, again, it's free, so it was free to walk through. One of the
coolest things that I liked about that museum was on the second floor, and they had these like 3 rooms that were dedicated to the influx of immigrants to Asuncion, and kind of what periods different, like they had the Italian section, and then they had a Canadian section of immigrants coming, and they kind of talked a lot about the kind of different groups of immigrants that came to Asuncion, since it is really like a big mix of different groups. So here in the city, it's pretty cool.
Yep. Okay, well, once you visited some museums and did some walking around, you're going to get hungry. But on our way to go we knew where we were going to eat lunch. We had already planned this. But we did do some walking around. So Old Town in Asuncion, if you've been to other old towns in other countries and cities here in South America, some of them are just a little bit more quaint maybe, or have put more money into restoration, and probably not so much in downtown Asuncion.
Yeah. I would say just be real cognizant of where you're going. There's some nicer spots, and then you can quickly kind of find yourself in the not so nice spots.
But we did do some walking around.
Yeah.
We found a nice park.
So it was the Parque de Asunción. So there's it's the Parque de Paraguay. And it's the Paraguay Park, and it's really nice. It has nice walkways through it. You can kind of stroll through the trees. There's a couple of nice statues. It is, if I remember right, it is kind of dedicated to women's rights and women's liberties, the whole park there. And there's some really cool, I don't know how to explain them. They kind of look like shell buildings, but one of them has a cool bookstore in it. And the other one, I think, was kind of more like electronics and stuff like that. But it's a really nice little park. So we wandered around in that a little bit and worked up our appetite.
So our ultimate destination, and we had read in so many reviews that you needed to eat here if you were coming to Paraguay. And then also we have locals that have told us you need to go eat.
We had fans on TikTok who said, go there. Yeah.
Yep. At Bolsi.
Yeah.
So Bolsi is a must, and we were not disappointed at all.
No. I had no idea what to expect. Deb told me, hey, we're going to go down to Bolsi because they offer authentic Paraguayan food. So it's the place where everybody says to go when you're downtown. I was like, okay, cool. So it was awesome. Yeah, it was cool.
So it was built in 1960, and it is kind of like a diner, I guess is what I would call it.
Yeah, I think part of it, I think they've expanded. So I think it started as kind of like a diner. what we in the States would call a diner. And then
Which
I think
is the part of you want to eat it.
yeah, that's where you want to be. Then I think there's another part of it looked like back behind it that was like maybe a fancier, nicer area, but that was not the experience we wanted. We wanted this like diner experience. And
they did have some outside seating also on the sidewalk.
And just a tip here, we got there, I think by the time we got there was like 11:45, and we got in and got a table, and it was just fine. And the outside seating was still a little empty. By like 12:30, like right after noon, it was
packed.
Jam-packed. Like, so we hit the sweet spot.
Yes.
We got lucky.
The outside tables were packed. We were inside. We were actually sitting at a table on the inside, but there's like a U-shaped countertop.
Yeah, like
where
a,
you can
like a lunch
sit
counter. That's perfect.
A lunch counter,
it's like a lunch counter. Yeah.
And everything was packed.
This lunch counter is huge,
People were
though.
standing off to the side waiting to get seats.
Yes, I would bet that the lunch counter probably seats 40 people. It's a really big lunch counter.
Very
It's
large,
the shape of a horseshoe. But everybody was like, it was, I don't know, it was like a vibe. Everybody was excited to be there. It was cool. Can't not talk about the dessert. Like, they tempt you with the desserts, like all in a giant case.
So I did not get video of the dessert, mostly because every time I thought I should go get it, the whole dessert counter was just so many people.
It was
all the time.
I think,
and there was no way to get in and just take video of it.
I think those were the people that were taking the orders to go. Like, so, not just the people who are eating and the people who are outside eating, there's like this line of people who are ordering to go. Like, it was busy at Bolsi.
It was very busy.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about what we ate. First of all, we had asked our server, can you give us some recommendations? Because Bolsi has a lot of traditional Paraguayan food.
Yep.
And so she did help us out on the menu. And so, so the first thing we tried, we ordered.
So I have to admit to the mistake here, okay? So I knew, one of the things I knew that we wanted was sopa. Okay. so she's laughing because sopa in Spanish means soup. And so we wanted, I think I said to her that I wanted a traditional Paraguayan soup. But that's not exactly what I meant. I meant, so sopa itself, sopa Paraguayana is like cornbread. That's the name of it. So we ordered the soup. And then we ordered the.
So we had two sopas.
We did have two sopas. We ended up with two sopas.
The surubi.
So that's the sopas de surubi. Surubi is a catfish from the Paraguayan River.
So the surubi soup. And that was, it actually had like very good flavor to it. Yeah, and that was a fish soup.
Really good. So even if you get sopa cornbread, you should try the sopa de surubi, which is the fish soup.
The sopa cornbread was also very good.
And that's a big thing for the people from Paraguay is their sopa. But really good. So try the sopa.
Okay, and then we split a meal, but we split a big meal. So
huge meal.
We got I don't know how you pronounce that. The beef de chorizo?
De chorizo, yeah. Beef de chorizo. So a lot like Argentina, Paraguay is very big into beef. Very big. And their beef is really good. So
that was really good.
It was really good. So when we got it, because we knew we were eating the soup, and when they bring you a piece of sopa, it's huge.
We did not get it.
No, we did not. It's a giant piece of sopa. And so then they brought the beef, which is basically, it's a sirloin strip. It's a really good piece of steak. And it came with garlic mashed potatoes and onion.
Crispy onion rings.
Crispy onion rings, yeah. And so that in a meal, like Deb and I split meals all the time. That in itself, without the soup and without the sopa, was a meal in itself. So we did not walk away from that meal hungry at all.
No.
We were full. Yeah.
So the steak also came with a couple different dips. It seems like it's pretty popular here to put like a garlic salt on your steak.
Yep.
And so it came with garlic salt, which I enjoyed. And then it came with like a salsa almost.
It's like a salsa. It's onions and peppers and, all different mix of it with vinegar.
Mm-hmm.
So you get this vinegary flavor to it, like just kind of like a lighter salsa.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes they'll give you chimichurri sauce, but
Mm-hmm.
depending on where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
But the salsa that they gave us at Bolsi was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and it was all so good, but it was also very hard to eat all of that because even that much for two people
we
was
ordered
a lot.
way too much food.
And so we, there's so many tips saying make sure you get a dessert at Bolsi, but we did not.
These two, who eat
Even though we love
sweets
our desserts.
everywhere, we just were like, nope, can't do it. Can't even, it was just, no. The food was so good. It was a great savory meal. Loved every minute of it.
But it was definitely an excellent way to end our downtown adventure.
It was. I think everybody who gave us those recommendations, because when they send us to a steakhouse or a restaurant that makes great steak, yep, you got it. So I think that's it. I mean, we loved taking the day, leaving Recoleta and going out to the old town and seeing a little bit of it. Obviously, we didn't see everything, but we loved spending a day. Definitely would recommend if you're coming to Asuncion, take some time, go down to the old town, go during the day, watch what you're doing, be careful. But that's it. If you got questions, if you've got comments, if you've got other things we should try, definitely leave them in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe.
And thank you for joining us.
We'll see you in the next video.